What's good, everybody? Time for a DL short. So, I'm doing my thing, checking out YouTube and all the other content creators out there. And I stumbled across a really good video that I think we should talk about. This is Michael Sartain on his show. Shout out to him, Access Vegas, with Rolo Tomasi. And basically, what they do is a variant of Fresh and Fit. Um, they're all at the big table, and there are women there, and there's some guys there, and there's Rolo, and there's Michael, and they're just talking about, um, dating dynamics, the social dynamic. They're talking about, why women do the things that they do, why men do the things they do, and it's akin to the Fresh and Fit after hours. Is just that the women tend to be a little older, a little more experienced, and the conversation is really toned down. Like Michael Sartain, shout out to him, is really interested in getting the conversation going. So the part we're about to watch, there's a clip out there. The title of the clip is "Working in the Workforce," correction, women in the workforce struggling to find men to date. So the reason I want to cover this is for you fellas out there who are doing the work and trying to level up. And as you begin to level up, you will notice that more and more women are becoming interested in you. You go from being invisible to visible. But then you also realize that, man, they're hard to date. They're hard to talk to. They're hard to deal with. They're easy to smash, right? The sex, especially if you're taking care of the physical part, you make sure your game is on point. Financially, you're doing good where you have enough to get you into that world. They're easy to smash. But for long-term dating, which, let's face it, most of you guys out there, you guys are looking for a wife. You really do want the long-term commitment, and I get it. But it's really hard to find it. And why is that? It's because women are doing so well in today's workforce. Professionally, women are doing better than they ever have, and they've been programmed to be the absolute best. They have been programmed, and they have become the men that they want. And they're not going to date a man seriously that makes less than them, or a man that they believe is of lower stature or status and stuff like that to them. They don't want a guy who's shorter than them generally. They don't want a guy that doesn't have as much money as them, as much resources as they do. This is where hypergamy comes into play. So one of the women at the table was a black woman. She has a big cowboy hat on, very attractive. And she's probably older. Like, it's hard to tell how old we are as black folks. Some of us age really well. I would venture to guess that she's somewhere in her 30s, maybe early to mid 30s. She could be in her late 30s, early 40s. And the reason I'm saying that is because she talks about some of the education that she's managed to get. And she was talking about advanced degrees. It takes time to do that. So I'm thinking she's older. And this woman is saying that you can have children as a woman well into your 50s. It's not a problem. It's a normal thing. And Michael Sartain was like, hold on, what did you say? So we're going to check this out. The first part of the video is a woman who's walking around basically talking about hypergamy in the workplace. So we're going to watch that part, and then we're going to roll into the next. So let's check this out.
Here real quick, please.
You're a girl and you're beautiful, smart, hardworking, and driven. You are most likely single right now. And all the guys are going to get pissed right now, but it's so true. I honestly just think the options are so limited because hear me out. So like, as a girl, you want to find a partner that exceeds you in every single area. So like, you want someone that looks better than you, is smarter than you, is more hardworking, has better like social characteristics. Like, you look for a partner that has like better qualities than you, or at least like meets you. And not to be an
And that part right there, right? You've heard Myron Gaines and Fresh Prince CEO from Fresh and Fit say those exact things. Myron Gaines has been villainized for saying those exact things verbatim. He said, and matter of fact, I'm looking at her and listening to her. I'm like, man, does she watch the Fresh and Fit podcast? You've heard Michael Sartain talk about this. You've heard Rolo Tomasi talk about this. Rich Cooper talk about this. You've heard me talk about this. It goes on and on and on. This is a thing that if you pay attention, you see it. Now, the women she's talking about, she's like, she can't find the guy she wants. It's impossible, these dudes, whatever she's saying. But she can have sex with these dudes. And she has. This woman has probably had sex with all these guys up and down the spectrum. From Pookie and Ray Ray and Trevor and, you know what I mean, from Tyrone and Chad. She's had them all. Just like Ebony K. Williams said, she's had them all. So just so you guys can see it, this narrative has always been out there. Women normally don't speak on it in such a public manner. But what she's talking about, yeah, this has been going on forever.
An absolute bitch of a person, but it's like when you're a girl that has all of her shit together, looks good, is hardworking, makes a lot of money. It's like, where do you go from there? There's so limited options. And then it's like the guys that are good options that would fit your standards are just cunts because like they have every option in the world. Because there's no absolute way I'm marrying someone that makes less money than me, isn't as funny, or like doesn't have as good people skills. Like there's just no way that that's happening.
I mean, she's keeping it real, and let's be honest. No disrespect to this woman. I'm pretty sure she's successful and she's doing her thing and doing whatever. But this woman right here is not the most attractive woman out there. Think about that. I mean, if you put her on a scale, I mean, just 0 to 10. And I know a lot of people are like, well, come on, man, she ain't got a lot of makeup on, or she's wearing no makeup. She's walking around outside, looks like she's got finished working out. Doesn't matter, bro. First of all, she does have on makeup. Women in that world, in her world, never leave the house without makeup, bro. That's like their American Express. That's their plastic, bro. They never leave home without it. It's on. She's got on her face. She's looking her best. She would not have turned on this camera if she wasn't looking her best in her mind. So she's only thing that's not done is her hair. She's got her hair pulled back. But again, she is maybe, I would give her a 7. Now her body is probably together. Maybe she has some upgrades or whatever right there. So you give her like 7, 7.5, right? She's somewhere in that range. 2 points above average, which is good. She's 2 points above average. Is she's 8, 9, 10 level? No. Was she when she was in her 20s? Possibly. But I bet you this woman right here, is probably very successful in the corporate world, doing her thing. She has tons of money. She can buy her own Van Cleef. She can buy her own Birkins. She can, buy her own Chanel. She's doing her thing. Shout out to her. But what she can't do is find the guy that she believes is suitable, because the guy she wants is the absolute best, just like the things that she buys, right? Just like probably her car and her clothing and her jewelry and her purses and all that. She wants the absolute best. The problem is those guys who are the absolute best, they have options.
So obviously evolutionary psychologists have been telling us this exact same thing. As more women enter the workforce with college degrees, they end up making more money, and they tend to choose men. And the number they found was about 1.65. So meaning if she makes $100,000 a year, she wants a man who makes about $165,000 a year. In general, that's what they're looking for. So you ask women in general, do you want someone tall? They don't all say 6 feet tall, but they say about 2 or 3 inches taller than them. So they want someone who's taller than them. They want someone, like she said, who's funnier than them, who might be smarter than them, who's more ambitious than them, who makes more money than them. So as you climb that scale and you become more accomplished as a woman, then there's fewer and fewer men to choose from. And of those men you have to choose from, those men have unlimited options.
Right. And just real quick, and Brother Michael says this all the time. He just was remiss a little bit in not saying this. Women want men who are taller than them, but the part he left out is when you ask them, it's like, I want him to be taller than me when I'm wearing heels. And that's where that 6 feet comes into play so much. They're like, well, yeah, I just want him taller than me. So she's really short. She's wearing heels, and he's 5'9", but he's still taller than her because when she has heels on. Okay, that's cool. But if she's 5'7", 5'8", and she's wearing heels, she's going to want a guy that's taller than her still. So that's where that 6 foot, that 6 foot height requirement comes into play.
And it becomes a problem. What do you think, Stacey?
I agree. And then also I think it could be kind of this way on both sides. So also
not really, because I don't care at all how much money my girlfriend makes.
Well,
or
okay,
how tall she is.
Well, not that part, as in like if the man has unlimited options, I think, well, again, it depends on the guy, but if he wants to settle down, there might be a girl who's like his dream girl and he doesn't want to settle, but then his dream girl might have unlimited options to him.
No, but see, the thing is, the difference is this. The woman, she's going to have unlimited options for short-term sex. Absolutely. Or for just some casual dating. Absolutely. But for commitment, you're going to find I bet you we could do some kind of study, so the top 10% of men in this country make how much money? What do you guys think? What number would you say that is? Top 10% of wage earners.
200.
200. What do you think?
180.
It's about $134,000 a year, puts you in the top 10%. Top 17% make $100,000 a year. In the top 1%, I think you're at $818,000 a year. In the top 0.1%, you're at $3.3 million a year. I think that's what it is. The top 5%, I think that puts you at $430,000 a year, somewhere in that area.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, so the point is, when women are asking for men who are 6 feet tall, that's 14% of the population. When they're asking for men who are who make $200,000 a year, that puts you in like the top 12, 10, somewhere in the percent of men. No, I'm sorry, puts you in the top like 8, 7% of men of as far as wage earners. Those men have all those women competing for them. Meanwhile, what you're saying is, well, then the woman has unlimited options. But does she have unlimited options for men to commit?
Well, not.
And and see, that's the key there. That's the rub. When you have these conversations with women, and I do often. I talk to women if I can get them on a podcast. Off camera, I have a lot of conversations with women, and I talk about this. And they'll break it down, and even some will concede. It's like, well, he doesn't have to be that tall if I really love him, and he doesn't have to be that fit if he makes me laugh. But when you get to the financial side of it, I'm like, well, what if you're making $200,000 a year and he's making $70,000 a year? That's all he's going to make. He's never going to make any more. He doesn't want to make any more. He's happy. He's able to get everything he wants. That's it. They draw the line there. She's like, well, no, he has to make at least as much as me so we can have the same lifestyle. So we can do the things that basically she wants to do. And therein lies a problem. And that is no go on that. Like, if he's not making the money and he's not on track to make the money, I'm sorry, that's a hard out for me. And a lot of women, and when I say a lot, I'm just anecdotally speaking, but I would say more than 90% of the women I've talked to, it's like, yeah, that's a hard out for me. I gotta have the financial portion met by the guy. And it's, and it's, even if they say it's 50-50, they still want him to be able to at least pay for half of the expenses on some trip to Monaco or trip to Bora Bora or you name the place. They're like, at least half. And by that, they mean he's paying for the first class airfare and the hotel. And then I'm just going to pay for dinner and all of our trips when we get there, or whatever. So if the trip is $100,000, they're each paying $50,000. I'm just making up numbers, but you get my point. That is a hard out. If the dude doesn't make the money, she'll have sex with him. She'll be in a relationship with him. But once she realizes he's not trying to level up, he's not trying to make more money, then she's going to leave him. Right. And again, this is anecdotally speaking. I have yet to find a woman who's like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm making all this money. He can stay home. And in other words, I'm saying have a non-traditional relationship where she's the breadwinner and he's at home taking care of business or whatever. I've yet to meet a woman who said that she is okay with that dynamic from the beginning. I have met a couple of women who are like, well, we met when we were young and he's been with me and I've been with him and he was on track to play in the NBA or NFL and he fell short, but we both got our degrees. But I went on to law school and we love each other and we have a family and I am the breadwinner, but I love this man because they've been together since they were kids and she doesn't want to leave him. She's comfortable with him. And guess what? She doesn't want to go to Monaco. She's not trying to go to Paris. She doesn't care about going to, Mr. Chow's or Mamo's or, Dirty French. She doesn't have to have that every day. She doesn't want the Birkins. She wants him. And she's happy because she has her kids and they had children young. So like right out of college, right? Which is kind of late, but it was like right out of college. They had to start their family. I have come across women like that. Like, no, I've been with him for so long. We know each other. I couldn't imagine myself with anyone else. I really don't care about the money. I love him. We have a great family. We're doing our thing. But going into a relationship outside of that, when you just meet somebody outside of that, and then, you're already well into your 20s or your 30s, and you meet someone and that guy's making less, those women are like, nah, I'm not taking care of him.
Not that woman, just maybe the woman that the guy who she thinks has limited options wants his dream girl to be. So the one he's looking for, okay, she might think he has unlimited options, but he's looking for this one girl.
He also has a longer timeline, Stacey. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
He has a way long, meaning like he could get married at 25 or 35 or 45 or 55 and still have kids.
Okay, but women have kids in their 50s all the time.
It's very rare.
No, it's not all the time. They don't. No, I think that's a misconception.
I will bet in their 50s, there's fewer than 1,000 children in the United States born by women in their 50s.
I think there's more than people think because it's so old that women have children so old that it's back literally in the Old Testament. Like women were like, "Holy crap, I'm pregnant."
I'm not saying that it doesn't happen every once in a while,
Like,
but your
but it happens all the
likelihood of
time.
carrying a child to term after the age of 40 is like 5%.
Well, I think it is only if you don't stay healthy and you don't keep up with yourself.
For sure. Then we're 7%. We're 9%, but we're not 50%.
But it does as age goes on, you do get attacked more by the world and the unhealthy eating and all that stuff. But I don't think that's something that, if you are a healthy woman and all that, I wouldn't worry about it until you're maybe in your 50s, but I still wouldn't.
So she just said, I wouldn't worry about having a troubled or tough pregnancy until you're in your 50s. In other words, up until then, though, you will have no problem being older as a woman and having kids. It's not a problem. She's saying that all the information out there is wrong, it's fake news, blah, blah, blah. Because she's going to go on into this. We're going to play this in a little bit. I just want to jump in real quick. This woman right here, this beautiful woman who is, again, I mean, you can't tell, with people of color, especially Black folks, man, it's hard to tell, gauge our age. I would bet the farm that she's in her 30s. I would bet the farm that she is, man, I'm guessing mid to late 30s is what I'm guessing. And the reason I'm guessing that is not because she looks bad. She looks amazing. It's because of what she's saying. And she's going to start talking about her college career and what she did, what kind of degrees she managed to get, like advanced degrees, which take time. And the fact that she's drilling down on this thing, because now she's made this personal. She's talking about herself. She hasn't had any kids. She's talking about herself. And people are telling her, probably including her doctors and everyone else who were very, very intelligent, are saying, hey, baby, you have taken too long. You're probably not going to be able to have kids. It's going to be really difficult for you. And she's saying, no, I reject that. I'm going to be fine. I can have kids, right? That's what I'm guessing here. But even with the numbers, even with the stats, she's still drilling down on it. She's citing the Bible. Like, oh, in the Bible, who was it? Was it Ruth that had a child that was really old and barren and she couldn't have a kid? But that was a miracle even then, right? If you read the book, that was a miracle even then. The only reason she had the baby is because God sent an angel to tell her you're going to have a baby. And it goes into some other stuff, and it was the child that she had would go on to be a great, I think it was I'm not even going to get into it because my religious people get mad at me. And, I can't remember the names, but her child became a very pivotal character in the Bible and in the story itself. But that was a miracle. Way back then, in biblical times, that was a miracle. And it's still today, even with modern medicine, it's still considered a miracle if you were that late in life having a child.
You wouldn't worry about having children. Hold on, time out.
No,
because we just went viral. You would not worry about having children until you're. Excuse me, editor, please pay attention to this one. You would not worry about having children until you're in your 50s.
Yeah, I think society places this pressure on women to hurry up and panic. And
I don't think it's society. I think it's Charles Darwin.
Well, I don't think it's Charles Darwin because I also don't believe in evolution. I think it's fake. So,
you think evolution is fake? Keep going.
Absolutely, evolution is fake. By the way, before anyone says anything, my first bachelor's degree was in astrophysics, and I switched it to theology after 2 years. So I've been in science and physics and anthropology and all that, and evolution is fake. So, but I would just say that
she said her first bachelor's degree, so she has multiple degrees. I misheard her the first time. I thought she had like a master's or something like that, but she has at least multiple degrees. She's been in college for a long time. She had to be. I doubt if she did her first 3-4 years and got that, and then did another 4 years. I'm pretty sure there was some time in there where she took some time off from school, but she doesn't believe in evolution. She's gone to college, right? She has the education. She's beautiful. This is a woman who is not accustomed to people challenging her. Why? Because when she's out in the real world with her body and her looks, right, the dudes that are sitting around her, they all want to smash. So they're like, yeah, baby, whatever you say. That is the problem. Also, she's been programmed by our modern society. You got to get it all, babe. You got to be an independent woman. You got to be a boss, babe. You got to use what you got to get what you need. All that comes into play. And it was working out for her just fine until she got into her 30s, probably mid-30s. And then she's thinking, oh, man, I'm not able to garner the attention from the top 1% guys that I was able to get, when I was in my 20s. Now I can't. When I was 22, 23, I was getting them. Now that I'm 35, 36, 37, or wherever she is, they're not paying as much attention to me. So now I'm in this situation, and she doesn't want to admit to that. And she's like, I'm fine. I'll be able to have kids whenever I want. I'm going to get myself together. She's on that Ebony K. Williams stuff. And where'd that come from? That came from programming from those people around us, from our society and our groups and our villages and our bubbles. And here she is in her life, and it's like, it didn't work. It's not working, and there's going to be some regret, and there's going to be some pushback, and that's that feminist stuff. And dudes, you young guys out there, you old dudes out here who are leveling up and doing the work, you will come across a woman like this, a beautiful older woman with no kids. You will come across with her, and you'll be lucky. You'll believe that you're lucky. Oh, I can't believe she's gonna let me holler at her. I can't believe that I'm smashing her. I can't believe that we're in this relationship. But she's locked in. If you don't do what she says, if you don't agree with her way of thinking, her philosophies in life, if you're not in her frame, she's gonna leave you. She's not gonna be in your frame. Be careful around women like this. If you come across a woman like this, man, go ahead and have fun. Go ahead and smash. It's gonna be great. Go ahead, have her on your arm. She's beautiful. Go out and do things. But she probably will embarrass you. And when that happens, the ride's over, bro. Just remember that. The ride's over. The moment y'all get to that first hiccup, let's go ahead and move on. Because you ain't fixing it, bro. You ain't fixing this lady right here. She ain't gonna change.
That as a woman who, has been dated and in relationship and all the other stuff, but I'm just someone who also, no matter what society has, like, hurry up, you need to have a kid at 20, at 25. Like,
well,
I've never
what you're talking about is a feeling, and I'm telling you definitively, the probability of you having a child at 50 is less than 1%.
Well, I think that it's a under
reported. It's
yes,
not.
Absolutely.
The U.S. Census is pretty clear on this. Even if it was underreported by a lot, it's still not going to be 1%. It's not even going to get. In fact, I'm sure it's a fraction of 1% likelihood of that happening.
In my theology degree, like when I was like 15 years ago studying this, I've heard a Mormon chick in the Mormon church. She just had like her 7th kid, and she's like,
did y'all peep that? 15 years ago, I was studying this. 15 years ago. She was in school, so she got in college at 18, so 18, 19, 20, 21, somewhere in there, right? Add 15 years to that. This is why I'm like, yo, she's older. She's probably in her 40s.
Yeah, and I'm only 43, so I'm still young, so I'm going to have children. Like, I'm just going to
You're dealing with someone who's extremely fertile for sure, but they're probably outside the deviation. And having a child at 40 is not impossible. And we're still in the 5% range, right? It's still a possibility. At 50, it's extremely rare. Well, it's more likely you're going to go through menopause and have a child at 50.
Well, this is the whole thing. This is what I'm saying. Everything you're saying to me, I'd be like, yeah, but it's still possible. So I would say that the women that freak out and panic, which is what it sounds like, really society, because it wouldn't matter if the woman really thinks she needs to have a kid because of time and age. If the universe does not bring her a child, then that's what's going to happen.
If I abused my body by taking steroids for a long time, let's just say I start taking anabolic steroids.
Yeah.
She says that the universe doesn't bring me a child. Women are on birth control probably in their teens. Most women get on birth control like 13, 14, 15, 16-ish, somewhere in there with their parents' consent, right? Because children are expensive and there's a whole lot of reasons behind that, right? So the universe is going to have a hard time getting through modern technology, right? So to say that, well, if the universe hasn't given me a baby by the time I'm 30, it's not a problem. It's not that the universe didn't give you a baby. It's you're not trying to have a baby. There's a big difference there. Especially young, beautiful women like that. The women around that table, they're probably all on birth control now or have been on birth control for the vast majority of their life, right? And then she never said she was 40. She was talking about the Mormon woman that she knew that was still having kids in her 40s, but she never gave her age, I don't believe. At least not in this clip. But 15 years ago, that right there, she's like 15 years ago when I was studying in school, blah, blah, blah. Hey, come on now, that you know she's up there. So my point is, if you come across a woman like this, who's so headstrong and so dead set against common sense, against math, against stats, against anecdotal evidence, just overwhelming. You have people in your family telling you like, nah, your aunt so-and-so couldn't have a baby and almost died in birth. And this, when doctors come to you and say, hey, this is going to be a tough pregnancy for you. You're older. When you come across a woman who's fighting that and pushing back against that, man, you want to be careful with that woman. And again, as soon as you guys have a hiccup, the party's over, bro. The ride's up. Jump off that ride. It's somebody else's turn.
And then I said, and then your response was, hey, do you know if you do this for a while, it's going to enlarge your heart, probably your internal organs, and you may end up dying earlier, right? That's a legitimate warning. But the world is telling me to not take all those steroids. And you watch Rich Piana, all those videos. It's like, I'm not stopping taking steroids. And you know what happened? You know what's cool about Rich Piana? Anybody? He's dead. He died because the steroids killed him. And it didn't matter what the world. It didn't matter what the world told 45. Him. The reality is, he took too many steroids and he died. Yeah. So the reality of the situation is, if you wait till 50 to have kids, Stacey, I like you. That's why I'm telling you this. Do not wait till you're 50 to have kids.
A man taking steroids till his brain explodes is not the same as a Mormon chick being 43. Like, I'm still young. I'm going to still have a lot of babies.
But we're talking about percentages. We're talking about mathematics. Like the percentages, like the likelihood of you being able to carry a child to term at 50 is it's not only unlikely, it's dangerous.
Well, I don't think it's dangerous because women have it.
But you keep saying you don't think it's dangerous.
Well, women don't do it all the time, and they have perfectly healthy children.
Again, there's a lot of data showing that they don't usually have perfectly healthy children at 50.
Well,
this is a fascinating conversation.
They don't in their 30s either. Sometimes they have a lot of problems in their 30s. Sometimes they have a lot of problems in their 20s because they eat like crap, and then they have.
I think they might not eat like crap and still have a problem. Stacey, is the Earth flat?
No, the Earth's not flat.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Facts, bro.
Let's see how far the
Facts,
whole point being, this whole pressure is of society saying, if you don't freak out, like you don't have.
So she's saying what she's saying, and here's the thing: they went and put up a chart, relative fertility rates, and I forget where they got this from. But it has at the bottom of the chart is age, and then the top of the chart, the left side of the chart, is the percentages of being successful, whatever. So right around age 33, 32, 33, somewhere in there. It drops off. Like, you go from being pretty fertile is going to work for you, then it drops off, and it drops off to, well below 1%. So it just shows you the science behind what they're talking about, and it's like, look, shorty, here's the documentation. Let's continue.
Have it before you're 50.
I think you can have children like in your 20s and not be freaking out. Oh, what is this study?
That's the CDC.
Well, everybody knows this fertility rate, but I'm saying it's not
from
something that you need
CDC,
to freak out
Center
and
Disease
force
Control.
your
So
life
at 40,
to
it's
be psycho about.
It's below 1%. Like, we're talking 1%. We're talking about or the fertility rate at these area up in the 30s right here.
So that's a 30
one child. Yeah, one. Okay, so then after that, it drops to like
okay,
to nothing.
So
around 45 is like not measurable.
There's this thing called menopause and perimenopause.
Sleep with anyone and to hurry up and get a child.
No.
In order to ruin her life.
Stacey, what she could do though is make good decisions in her early 20s to pick someone who's good.
And that's what she's talking about, the girl on the screen.
Yeah.
Even if she does, it's harder to find the dude because it gets a lot harder.
Or you
can't force either way on her.
Or you could be reasonable and recognize that the average man. Hold on, guys, real quick. Or you could be reasonable and realize the average guy in the United States makes $60,000 a year and is 5'9". Like, that's the other option, is to actually reasonably choose somebody who's across.
Well, that's fine too. But if she's just not in love with any of them, then she's not in love. She's not going to force herself to be with a guy who, to her,
I totally understand. And you know what would happen if women don't want to have kids because the men don't, because they don't fall in love with the men they meet? You know what happens? The fertility rate would go down. Does anyone want to know what's happened to the fertility rate? Or the marriage rate? It's plummeted. And the reason why is because of what you're saying. I actually think if enough women believe in what you believe, there'll be 1 billion people on this planet here pretty soon. And I didn't believe in this shit. I really thought Elon Musk was way over exaggerating this stuff. But the more I listen to women being like, no, we need to wait till we're 40, I'm like, we don't have a fucking chance. Because you might have one kid at 50, but you're not going to have two.
I'm not saying that you need to wait till you're 40. I'm saying that you don't need to force yourself into a relationship because you haven't found the guy that you're in love with yet, because society is telling you, hurry up and have a kid.
Then just don't have kids. Then just don't have kids at all.
It's not going to happen.
Then Stacey, just don't have kids at all.
But see, what you're doing is you're putting a pessimistic conclusion onto something that's not even panned out yet. You can't just be like, well, I can't find him now that I'm 31, so I give up and I'm just not having kids. Like, no, keep dating.
No, you can keep trying.
You might have a kid when you're 37. You might have a kid when you're 30.
Yeah, but your and I hate to say this, but your standards for the man you're going to get at 37 should be different.
Absolutely. I totally agree. 100%. And men, when they're 37, they get more mature and they want a wife and kids too now. So you don't have to necessarily rush yourself at 25, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. You can wait.
I think at 35, you should probably start rushing yourself.
So you can see how she was digging down and she just did not want to acknowledge the reality. The reality is it's better for women to have kids when they're younger. That's just the reality. And it's tough because they have to make a decision. Do I chase my career or do I have a family? And that's a tough decision. I'm not a woman. I can only imagine how tough that decision is. Most modern women are choosing to chase the bag. They secure their future. They have their career. They're starting to get their money. They're in their late 30s. And they're like, okay, now I want to have my family. So they're going. And again, because they're making so much money, because they're so successful, they're not looking at the vast majority of guys. They're not. They're looking at the dudes who were up in really the top 10 to 15 percentile, which all women are looking at that guy. So you're 37 years old chasing after a dude that the 27, the 22-year-old, the 57, the 52-year-old, all these women who were top tier are all looking at this same guy. He gets to pick. And she's like, well, when a man becomes 37, he's going to want to have kids too. Yeah, but he's not going to want to have a kid necessarily with a woman who's his age, right? Because he believes in the man. He's like, I want to have a healthy family. He's going to be looking at the girls in their 20s. More than likely. Unless y'all have a relationship that goes back, to high school, whatever. And then he's like, okay, let's try to have babies or whatever. But generally speaking, if you got a guy who's gone out there, he's done the work, he's leveled up, and he wants to start his family, he's not going to start a family with a woman in his age cohort. He's not going to do it. More than likely, he's going to get a younger, more beautiful, and a fertile woman is going to follow his lead and have his kids and stay at home and do all the other things. So, fellas, if you guys are out there, don't get frustrated when you come across these women. Don't get frustrated. It's now the normal. You're going to come across women who are out here hustling. I mean, at every level. Like, you got the women out here who are struggling just like the average dude is struggling, all the way up to the women who are making tons of money, right? Look at women like Ebony K. Williams. I keep bringing her name up because there's video out there of her talking about her situation and what she did. She ended up buying sperm, unfreezing her egg, thawing her eggs out, and having a baby that way. She just, I'm going to be a single mom, not even trying to have a dead dude, because she couldn't get the guy that she wanted. And Ebony K. Williams is famous, YouTube famous, for saying, I would only date the bus driver if he owns the bus company, right? That's Ebony K. Williams. She's an attorney, like she's a media personality. From all accounts, she's a cool person. I've never met her in real life, but I know people that know her. And this is what she ended up doing. This sister who was right here talking about I can have babies in my 50s or whatever, this sister is probably going to wind up doing something similar, right? But there's another option. There's women who are like, well, I just want to have a baby. They'll run out there and just, instead of buying some sperm, there's plenty of dudes out there willing to give them sperm. They'll go out, find a guy they think that has pretty good genes, and then, let him sleep with her and not wear, not take any birth control and try to get pregnant, as opposed to paying $5,000 or $10,000 for somebody's sperm. Go get it for free. But the problem is they still going to wind up single parents because they don't have any emotional tie to the guy. If they do, they believe they're settling. They're still going to be trying to advance. Like, okay, I got my kid now. I got my money. I got everything. I don't need this dude. This dude he's not up to my standards, so I can walk away from him and go out here and find me the guy that I want. I already got my kids, so I'm going to go find the guy that I want and be able to, level up and partner up with, that dude, starting myself a nice little power couple situation. So fellas, when y'all come across women like this, do not be discouraged. Don't get upset. This is all part of the game. That woman is fine. If I were to bump into that woman, I don't normally say this. Like, Michael Sartain and Rollo, when they get together on Access Vegas and they do these podcasts and they bring these women out, the type of women that they're into, I'm not into. I'm not into women that, that look like the made up Barbies with all of the upgrades. I'm not into that. But every now and then they'll have a woman on there that I think is attractive. And this is a woman that, this sister right here, I think she's attractive. However, when she starts talking, it's like, oh man, all that goes out the window. Like, nope, I don't want to deal with a woman who is saying the things and believing the things that she is saying and believing. It's one thing to say, hey, I understand the math. I understand it's going to be really hard for me to have a child now that I'm older, but I'm still going to give it a shot. I've kept myself in shape. I'm taking healthy supplements. I'm working with my medical professionals. I think I got a good chance at this. I'm hoping I can get into that small percentile of women who go through these pregnancies, have a healthy pregnancy, and have a healthy child. If she were saying that, I'm on board. But the stuff that she was saying, like, oh, this is normal, everyone's doing it. Nah, I don't believe in evolution. What? But you went to college and you were in the sciences? Huh? You know what I mean? But I studied the Bible and the Old Testament said this. Like, yeah. Somebody bring me some Hennessy's. We can hook up, we can smash, we can have some fun. I wouldn't mind riding that ride, but then it's over. High five, thanks, babe. What was your name again? All right, cool. Like, bye. Right? So, fellas, when you come across a woman like this, don't fret. Right? That's the word, fret. Right? Don't worry about it. Run your game, do your thing, let her run her game on you. You guys get together, have a good time, smash, whatever, if that's what you want to do. But do not commit. Do not commit to a woman like this because nothing but problems down the road. Nothing but problems. All right. If you get into it, if you try and keep your eyes open, do not be blinded by her beauty. That woman is very beautiful. Do not be blinded by her beauty. Pay attention to what's going on. All right. And I'm going to leave it there. This was a long short, but I really wanted to jump on and cover that because I just thought it was perfect. It's perfect. You guys need to see that. Those women are out there. Some of you guys won't know what we're talking about. And you won't deal with this for a while because you got work to do. But once you get to that level, these women will see you and they will come to put themselves in your orbit. Just know who you're dealing with and know what you're getting yourself into. All right. There's so many dudes out there that wind up marrying women like that and they get divorced within like 3 to 5 to 7 years. And it's a wrap. And they wasted that time. Right now, they go from being in their late 30s to in their early 40s to mid 40s and divorced, and they got to go start all over again. So just be careful, guys. They're fun, though. Women like that, man, crazy girls, man, they got the best sex, bro. The absolute best. I think that's Mother Nature's way of keeping those people in the gene pool, right? Because if they were crazy like that and had horrible sex, man, that gene, that whole line would just be eradicated because wouldn't nobody touch them. Nobody would touch them. But that's it. I got to go, man. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I'm BL saying I'm going to talk to you later. Peace.